Lydia had a business, and she put it at the feet of Jesus. Her home became a church. Her resources funded the mission. Her household became the founding community of European Christianity. A mom whose world is her children and home and who pours that into raising the next generation with faith and intentionality, she's doing the same thing.
Yep.
Different arena, same consecration. So, the enemy loves to get Christian women fighting each other about this, about which is better. Working moms feel judged by stay-at-home moms. Stay-at-home moms feel looked down by working moms. Meanwhile, both are just trying to be faithful to what God has put before them. Hey moms, welcome back to the Gather Moms podcast. We are in episode 213 of our Bible Mom series, and we are so glad that you're here. You've been on this journey with us through the Bible. Today, we are going to get in our airplanes, though, and go from a different location where we have been for the entire Bible journey up to this point.
You mean in the New Testament?
Just go along.
Where were we originally? Where are we starting from? What airport are we at?
We are at the airport of the Middle East.
Okay. There's a lot.
And we are going on a European vacation.
Oh my gosh.
So let's talk about Europe. Okay. Have you been to Europe? And where have you been in Europe? Rebecca, tell the people.
I'm not good with geography. You tell me. Have I been to Europe?
Bro, yes.
Is Greece Europe? Okay. I've been to Europe. Yes, I have been to Europe.
Okay. I, in Europe, have only been to Italy and to Greece. But I absolutely loved my trip to Greece. Now, here's the thing is I know Rebecca's been to Greece. I asked her to tell us about this. She's going to tell us. But I need you to know we've both been, but we had very different experiences.
Yes.
Because I went to Greece on a 10-day trip with my mom and sister, and it was all about maybe learn a little bit, but mostly sit on the beach, be in the water, just like eat good food and live our lives. Okay. Rebecca, what was your Greece experience?
The footsteps of Paul.
Excuse me. She's so much better of a Christian than I am.
So I want to go back now because I don't remember as much, like you say, I'm going to remember everything and then you forget.
But y'all were going at like 6 a.m.
Yeah, we were bussing all over the place, but I love that. Like, I like to eat things up like that. I'm like, let's go, let's get to it. But looking back at my notes, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to go back and hear it again because I think I forgot some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember eating anything especially good? Or
yes, tzatziki. Tzatziki.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Uh-huh.
It was delicious.
Yeah?
Yeah. They always have this white sauce that goes with everything.
Yeah.
Sandwiches, fish, meat, vegetables. And we have it in America, but it's different.
No, it's different. And whatever that spice is they use, you smell it everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
I remember everything I ate was really good. They would have like these pies. So it would be like a flaky crust and then inside it could be something savory or sweet.
Yeah.
So like when we got to our first Airbnb on one of the islands, the host had these fresh homemade like flaky crust pastries. Yes, that had like chicken and cheese and rice inside of it. Out of this world. Like I will never forget how that tasted. It was so good. But everything we ate was good. The coffee was good. I mean, that's usually what I care about the most.
Yes.
And, it was great. They do eat dinner at like 8:00. So you're hungry at 6 and you're like, okay, where are we going to go eat? And it's like, absolutely not. The restaurants are not even open. Or if you walk in there, they're like, these stupid Americans. Well, I don't know what the accent.
I do not think that was a Grecian accent. It felt a little more south of the border, but hey.
It was. You're right. I'm like, everybody has a go-to accent, and it's like the only one you can do. My daughter Lydia is so good at accents. I need to get her on sometime. Like she's so good. We get her to say stuff all the time. It's not my strength. Okay, but Greece
is in Europe.
And that's exactly where we're going today.
Good.
And so I wanted to preface that to talk about our Bible mom and our Bible story today, because we are going to go on a European vacation to Greece. So where we meet this Bible mom today is Paul is going on his second missionary journey. And he gets a vision in Acts 16, and the vision tells him to go to Macedonia. Now, before we go on this whole vacation, we need to talk about some of these locations.
Definitely.
And how they're named, because the names in the Bible are different than how a lot of them are named in modern day, and it can get very confusing. Okay, so up until now in the Bible story, we have been in the Middle East, what today we would call the modern day Middle East. The Bible calls those areas Canaan, Israel, Judea, Galilee. It can also be referred to as Asia Minor. That from the beginning, from Genesis, from Jesus' birth, from Jesus dying, from Paul meeting Jesus on the road to Damascus, everything that has happened up to this point has all been in one part of the globe. What's today the Middle East. Now, today we would call those places Turkey, Israel, Palestine, Iraq, Egypt.
Yes.
All right. So just so you have it in your mind.
I'm envisioning it right now. I got the map going on right up here. Yes, I'm seeing it in my head.
All right. But where Paul is going to go today is Macedonia. Now, nobody today talks about Macedonia, but guess what, girls? That is Greece.
Okay.
And so he is going to go to Greece. Now, before we go on our adventure, I want us to think about something else too. Because not only have we been in kind of the same period on the globe, I want us to think about how much time that we have covered. So in the Old Testament, it spanned thousands of years, especially if you're considering like, how long was the universe around before, God started
let's
creating?
Go there. You want to talk about that today? Let's go.
We are not going to talk about new earth, old earth. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it.
Random. That was in my curriculum for my 7th and 8th graders. I skip right over that. I'm like, 7 days. Let's just keep on walking. Here we go. I don't even know about all that.
There are very smart people. If you're not following Frank Turek or like Wesley Huff, go listen to those brothers. We are not going to get into that today about how long the earth has been around. Okay. But what we can easily say is that, at least from Abraham to like the end of the Old Testament is at least like 2,000 years. Yeah. And then prior to Abraham, we've got a span. So I'm just going to say thousands. All right. But then what's really interesting is when we move into the New Testament, the entire New Testament happens in less than a century.
Right.
It's less than 100 years. So I just think it's important for us to know the time and place that we're in, and how much like electricity is involved in the New Testament, and how quickly things happen, and how today we're going to move from them. All of this electricity happening in kind of this one part of the world where it has always been, to now today it is going to start moving out of that space into the rest of the world. And so it's going to move beyond the walls of the Middle East, and they are going to cross the Aegean Sea for where we meet our Bible mom today. Can I just tell you, I have such an affinity for the Aegean Sea. It is this like cerulean blue. So if you've only ever been to like maybe like Florida beaches or Mexico Beach, those are typically like a turquoise. Mm-hmm. Did you ever get to see the sea when y'all were in Greece?
We were on a cruise.
Okay.
We were on a boat.
Okay, so it's this
beautiful blue.
Beautiful blue.
Yes.
It's like, I can't think of what that stone is right now, but it has that blue in it. I'm going to have to think of it.
Well, it makes me think of Santorini.
Yeah.
Because in Santorini, that blue is everywhere.
Yes.
It's like they take the blue of the ocean and they
put it
just
on the buildings.
on everywhere. It's beautiful.
And it's different, and it's very salty. So one of my favorite memories from Greece was being on the island of Crete, and we rented a private sailboat, and so we got to go snorkeling off the boat. That's amazing. And I will never forget, the water was very cold, but you got in the water, and I had on this like the snorkel mouth thing and the goggles, and then I could lay in the ocean on my belly and look down at the water, and it was so salty that I just floated without having to try at all. Mm-hmm. And you just lay there, and all you can hear is your breath in and out, and you can kind of hear whatever that sound is.
It's the most fearful sound in the world to me. Snorkeling scares me to death.
Because is that part of your Jaws thing?
Yes. Yes. All parts of the ocean. Yes. You feel so helpless. Like I'm going to sink to the bottom and nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on a movie one day. The girl that got lost in the Aegean Sea. Yes.
Well, but I can imagine for Paul, it was not nearly as romantic. Okay. They're taking these boats across.
Still beautiful, though. Don't you think it would have been beautiful to them?
Beautiful. And you wonder, now they had been able to see the Mediterranean because like Turkey and Greece are not far from each other. So, they had the sea between them. But for him, to cross over into this new place he's never been before. And the only reason he's going is because right prior to that, he had been on this journey, and everywhere he tries to go, the Spirit stops him. Mm-hmm. It actually, like one time it says like the Spirit of Jesus Christ or something like actually stops them. Mm-hmm. So they keep getting stopped. And so, but God is clearly directing him to like leave this landmass and go to this new space. And so they're going to go over to Macedonia. So could you read for us? You're going to read Acts 16, 13 to 14. What it tells us right before that is that they're going to go to an area called Philippi, and it's in the northeast of Greece. And they are in the city for several days, and then Sabbath comes. And then if you'll read Acts 16, 13, and 14.
Okay. This, I don't mean to not do what you say. Can I read 11 and 12 too?
Yes. I was trying to sum it up, though, so you didn't have to read it.
It's so interesting to me.
Read it, girl. Read it.
Okay. So, setting sail from Troas, we made a direct voyage to Samothrace, and the following day to Neapolis, and from there to Philippi, which is a leading city of the district of Macedonia and a Roman colony. We remained in this city some days. And on the Sabbath day, we went outside the gate to the riverside, where we supposed there was a place of prayer. And we sat down and spoke to the women who had come together, the women who had come together. One who heard us was a woman named Lydia from the city of Thyatira, a seller of purple goods, who was a worshiper of God. The Lord opened her heart to pay attention to what was said by Paul.
Okay, so good. All right, now, one of the things you got to do in Greece that I didn't get to do is you have been to this location, haven't you?
Yes.
So tell us about it.
So what I remember about it is it was set off from like a populated area, and they had built a church there now because they build churches everywhere something spiritual happened. It was a pretty church, but next to it was a creek, and it reminded me like of like a creek I would see here in, wherever I live. It wasn't super deep and it wasn't super wide, but it just went all through the landscape, and you could kind of get down to it easily because there's grass growing by it, and you could get in the water and put your feet in it. And they had built a garden next to it. I mean, it was beautiful. Everything over there is beautiful because it's so green and so lush, and it's not flat. There's hills, and there's like, it's beautiful. And so we got to go, and they just, we read the scriptures there, and then they just gave us time to kind of walk along the riverside and just imagine what it would have been like. And then, I don't think I got in the water. We didn't get in the water, but you were able to put your hand in. It was very cold.
Yeah. I've seen some people get baptized there, but it's very shallow, isn't it?
Yes, very shallow.
Yeah.
It looks like a creek bed almost, a shallow. And so when we went to Greece with our church, we went on a tour. So we had a tour guide and everything. Before I left, I took rocks for all of my kids, and I had them put their fingerprints on them, and I wrote their name on them. And then when we would go certain places, I would connect it to a scripture in the Bible, and I would put their rock there. And so my daughter Abby's rock is by the river Philippi, or in Philippi where Lydia was. And then I took a rock.
Great.
I don't think you're supposed to.
No.
But I did.
Great.
And I wrote Lydia by the river. So I have my little.
And you have it.
It just looks like a rock you find here, but
if you're watching us on video, you can see the rock.
A little rock, yeah.
That's amazing.
And then I would take flowers too, like whenever we would go somewhere and there would be like a pretty wildflower, and I would put it in my Bible again. Then you have to get through customs, and you're afraid they're going to like arrest you. Yeah. But I didn't get arrested. I'm here. So
that's great. Yeah. I feel like maybe it's like a little bit of a question mark, some of the choices you made, but well done.
One day I'm going to go back there and I'm going to look for her rock. I think I dropped her rock down in the river though, so I may never find it again.
I don't know, but I think that's really neat and special and thoughtful and intentional.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about this scripture. One of the things we've been talking about through our Bible Mom series is just how important it is to observe. So when we talk about observing, we see that there are women meeting outside of the city gate, and they're praying on the Sabbath. And when we're doing observing and we're looking at who, what, when, where, we also kind of can start jotting down our interpretation questions, where we have questions that come up of like, wonder why, the
Mhm.
why questions. So one of my why questions is, why are they meeting there?
Yeah.
I'm also going to ask, like, it says they sat down and spoke to the women. So were men there and just not mentioned? We meet Lydia here, who is described as a God-fearing woman and a dealer in purple cloth, or a seller from the city of Thyatira, and that she was listening. So then that's going to make me put some new questions into my interpretation column, because what does it mean that she was a dealer or seller of purple cloth?
Uh-huh.
And is there any significance to Thyatira? These little details they've given us about her, what do we do with that information?
Right.
So interestingly, when you study her, we find that her name might not actually have been Lydia. She might have been the woman from Lydia and then came to be known by that name, because she was from Thyatira. It's a city, and that's an area back near where Paul came from in Asia Minor. And so where she is now in Philippi is not where she originated or grew up. She was from Thyatira, and it's in a region called Lydia.
Mm-hmm.
And she was from the city of Thyatira. And so at some point she moved her family over across the ocean, from what would be Turkey to Greece. And the area she was from was known for creating purple dye. And do you know how they created the dye?
Is it from a fish egg?
Okay, so close. From snails. And it's the mucus inside the snails. And that makes me question, like, who was the first person to discover this?
Some kid smashed a snail and it turned purple, and he went home and told his mom, and she was like, no way, show me. This is how we figure out all things in motherhood. Our children smash something, break something, move something. Yes.
You're like, oh, that could be pretty.
Yeah, let's try that.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
make that into something.
Okay.
Okay, it would take thousands of snails. These people that were part of this industry would collect thousands of snails from the Mediterranean coast just to create a small amount of purple dye. And that's why it came to be used by royalty and like by people in Roman government, prestigious members of the Roman government. That's like why whenever you see soldiers and stuff in the crucifixion story, they're wearing purple, because it was only used for specific people, because it was very, very costly. Ordinary people could not afford it.
So is she smashing snails?
So it does not say that she was a maker of the dye. It tells us she was a seller or the merchant. So she wasn't doing the dyeing, but she was overseeing the work and making the trades. Yes. So clearly then she's a businesswoman.
Yeah.
When he meets Lydia, it's Sabbath, but he doesn't go to a synagogue. So now we're going to move over, and that's in my interpretation of like, okay, why wasn't there a synagogue? Well, what we know is that in Jewish custom, they had to have a minyan, or 10 Jewish men, in order to form a synagogue. So here in Philippi, remember, this is Greece. There's probably such a small Jewish population that there may not even be 10 Jewish men. And potentially it's women that are Jewish believers. And so they can't form a synagogue. They likely met by the river, because Jewish custom would have required some ritual washing as part of their like Sabbath observance. So as they're meeting outside the city gates near this river, there's no synagogue. There might have been a brother or two, but like they aren't mentioned.
Yeah.
And we know that there was probably less than 10.
Yeah.
She had brought her Jewish faith over from Turkey, Asia Minor, to this place that was run by the Roman government. They didn't have Jewish customs there.
Right.
So it's a very small population of them. And so they're meeting in this area by the river. It had to have been somewhat informal, but they just are showing up. And it's a really big deal here that Paul, who now he's converted he follows Christ, but in the Jewish mindset, he would have been considered basically a Jewish rabbi. He had studied under Gamaliel, I think is how you say the guy's name. And so like Paul was a big deal and would have been removed from women in that way. And we watch him like come to her, and he talks to them. That's who he goes straight toward. It's absolutely countercultural, everything that he did here. And then he must have shared the gospel with her. We can infer that, even though it doesn't explicitly say that in this text, because he's somehow sharing the good news of Jesus, because it tells us then that the Lord opened her heart to what Paul was saying. And then let's see how she responds. Can you read Acts 16:15?
And after she was baptized, and her household as well, she urged us, saying, If you have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come to my house and stay. And she prevailed upon us. As we were going to the place of prayer, we were met by a slave girl who had a spirit of divination.
Okay, sure. You can stop there. I should have warned you that we were going to get to the slave girl.
Okay, let's go.
She's going to come up. She's going to come up.
Let's go, girl.
Okay, so somehow these women are sitting there. It's on a Sabbath. They're praying. Somehow, like Lydia, I mean, she's a believer in Yahweh, but she does not know about Jesus.
Right.
Paul comes. He shares with her about Jesus. Her heart was already ready. God opened her heart, prepared her for this. She gets baptized, and it says, who does she bring along with her?
Her household.
Her whole household.
So who's in her household?
Well, okay, so that's a great interpretive question. Well, if we study that, what we would know is that this woman is probably pretty wealthy. She probably, because then we're going to see that she prevails upon them to come and stay in her home. So then Paul and all the guys that are with her are going to come stay at her house. So she has a large house.
Yeah. She
probably would have had maybe some of her employees lived with her, probably slaves, and anyone in her family and extended family lived in her home. It doesn't explicitly say that she has children, but we can infer that she does. It doesn't say anything about a husband. And so in this situation, we would infer that she's probably been widowed.
Okay.
And this is once again where we talk about how women were identified by their husband or children. If those things weren't present, they were identified by their location.
Yeah.
And so we have that again here where, you know.
It kind of makes me sad that maybe her name wasn't Lydia. We called her Lydia all these years.
I know, but we know her as Lydia.
Miriam. Janet. I mean, bless her heart.
Well, and I wasn't planning on getting into this, but there are other women mentioned later on that Paul kind of calls out in a later, and he has two names for them, and they wonder if one of those women was actually.
What were the names? Tell us. Do you know?
Wasn't it like Syncati and you something?
Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
I like Lydia better.
I agree.
Let's stick with that. Yeah.
Okay, so she gets her whole home baptized, and then one of my favorite lines is, your scripture said, and that she invited them to her house, and
she prevailed upon them.
She prevailed upon them. In other ones, it says she persuaded us, and I can just see. I mean, I know she's not really a Greek woman; like she's really a Middle Eastern woman living in Greece, but I can almost just see like that Greek personality that's like. I don't know. I just like my big fat Greek wedding or something that's like, come on, you're too skinny, you know, come and sit down and eat. We've got a room for you, you know?
Yeah.
So somehow like she prevailed upon them to stay at her home, which I love that about her. But she was practicing hospitality. So Rebecca started to read. The rest of Lydia's story is between them coming to stay with her, and we don't know for what amount of time she stays with them. But, you know, Paul, this was part of his missionary journey, so he's sharing the gospel with the people of Philippi. Well, as he is staying with her, he and Silas are out, and they see this young girl who she probably has a demon of some sort, and she's practicing like divination. And these people have hired her. They basically... whatever she divines, people pay her for it, and she has these people that she works for. Well, the bottom line is she is really annoying Paul.
That's what it says. He was annoyed by her.
Yeah. So he cast the demon out of her. Well, that ticks the people off that are like her managers because that was their source of income. So they get Paul thrown in jail. And then when they're in jail, this is the famous story of Paul and Silas praising God in prison, and the earthquake comes and they actually like lead the jailer to Christ and all of that. Okay. So then when they leave jail, let's talk about what happens. So I want you to read Acts 16:40.
So they went out of the prison and visited Lydia. And when they had seen the brothers, they encouraged them and departed.
Okay. One more time.
So they went out of the prison and visited Lydia. And when they had seen the brothers, they encouraged them and departed.
All right. So when they leave the jail, where do they go? They go to Lydia's house, and they go and encourage the brothers in Christ there. Well, that means that now there are people.
There's men there.
There are people at Lydia's house who believe in Christ. Okay, so what we see here, what scholars completely agree on, is that this is the first church in Europe starts in Lydia's home.
Amazing.
And it is somehow transpired in this time period between when Paul sees her by the side of the river, she prevails upon them to come to her house. They stay at her home. And then, but churches happened in homes.
Yes.
That's kind of different for us because we think of like a brick and mortar building you go
Right.
to that's like called a quote unquote church. Churches happened in homes. They were house churches. And so the very first house church in Europe starts in Lydia's house. And I just want you to think about like the intentionality of God. Because God sent Paul across the sea, and because these women were faithfully meeting, and because God opened her heart to hear the gospel, Lydia is the first to believe in the gospel of all of Europe, and the first church is started out of her house.
Holla. Good
So
job,
cool.
Lydia.
So cool. And I just want to...
Who runs the world? Who runs the world?
Okay, but can I say, I mean, obviously, like, it would be the wrong takeaway from this whole series we've done on Bible Moms to say in any way that women are superior, or that is not what we're saying at all. I think one of the reasons, though, it's really good for us to intentionally highlight the women in the story is because historically they have not been highlighted.
Right.
And all research shows that women need to see other women in places of leadership and in places where that's how people see, oh, I can do that too. I can go to that place too. And so when we see Lydia's story, it helps you go, oh, okay, God can do that in me too. It's not just for the men. I remember when my daughter asked, my daughter, I got to be the one to lead her to Christ. Jeremy and I had both been sharing the gospel with her, but when she was finally ready, like I got to be the one. And so then when we were talking to her about getting baptized, she said, well, I want mom to baptize me. And my husband and I looked at each other because that was 8 years ago at our church. And at the time, a woman had not baptized a girl, or a woman had not baptized, end of sentence, at our church. And I looked at my husband and I'm like, what do we do with this? Because I had never envisioned, this is my point of this. I had never envisioned myself ever baptizing because I had never seen a woman do it. I didn't think that was an opportunity that was available to me.
Right.
But my husband and I both searched the scriptures and we're like, well, there's nothing in here that would say that a woman can't baptize. And so he ran it up the leadership poll at our church. And, it was like, absolutely you can. And so by the grace of God, I got to be the first woman in the water with my daughter to baptize her in our church. And now it's a regular practice.
Yep.
But we have to be able to see women in these God-given roles by the grace of God so that we know that that is available to us too.
Yes.
And I want to stop here too and note something about this woman that we honor in biblical history who was clearly a working woman. And I just want to note something. I think, I don't know if this came about, it really, when you really research history, and it's been interesting to talk with my children who are in human geography, and we talk about how the roles of men and women over time, it's honestly kind of an American ideal, and it has become an ideal again very recently, that the ideal woman stays at home. For millennia, men and women worked side by side. Think about that we were agrarian. Okay. We were tending farms. We were taking care of the home. Everybody was having to work to make everything work. If a woman didn't quote unquote work, the family would not have survived. So work looked differently, but both of them worked. Okay. We see here when we look at the Bible that there are models of women working. Somehow there has been a little, and it's a very subtle shift where there has been an emphasis on that really the ideal Christian woman, though, is at home. And I just need you to know, when we look at Lydia's story, there is never a moment where she is chastised or rebuked for being a working woman. It is actually through her career that she has this whole group of people that she is able to share the gospel with and then have them all baptized. And it is in that group of people that the first church has started. And so here's the deal. This has nothing to do with, it's not working mom versus stay at home mom. That's a cultural debate that the Bible does not actually have. The question scripture asks is, whose kingdom are you building with what you have? Lydia had a business and she put it at the feet of Jesus. Her home became a church. Her resources funded the mission. Her household became the founding community of European Christianity. A mom whose world is her children and home and who pours that into raising the next generation with faith and intentionality, she's doing the same thing.
Yep.
Different arena, same consecration. So, the enemy loves to get Christian women fighting each other about this, about which is better. Working moms feel judged by stay-at-home moms. Stay-at-home moms feel looked down by working moms. Meanwhile, both are just trying to be faithful to what God has put before them. And Lydia is actually such a gift here because she shortcuts this debate. God didn't wait for Lydia to quit her job before he opened her heart. He didn't ask her to close her business before he used her home. He met her exactly as she was, a working woman, a businesswoman, an immigrant entrepreneur, and he built her church through her exactly as she was. So whatever state you are in, it is honestly about what God has called you to and has very little to do with whether you are working outside of the home or working within your home. Rebecca and I have each been every iteration of that.
Yes, all in between.
I've been a stay-at-home mom. I've been a mom who works from home. I've been a mom who works outside of the home, and every variation under the sun. And I can tell you right now, I have not felt more holy as one or the other.
None of them are easy. Not a single one.
Yeah. Right.
So there's not like, I think sometimes working moms look at stay-at-home moms and think your life must be so easy. But then I think stay-at-home moms look at working moms and go, yeah, but you get to talk to actual people. Like we're all looking at each other thinking the grass is greener. It's all hard. It's all hard.
It's all hard. There's a trade-off with every single one of them. And God isn't asking us to compare. He is asking us to be faithful with where he has placed us. And you just never know over the course of your life and your motherhood, how God is going to ask you to use your giftedness, whether it's primarily inside the walls of your home or if at some point it's outside the walls of your home. He just wants you to be faithful with wherever you are. I think the only thing we just want to caution toward here is that our priorities remain intact. So when we look to scripture, it does not say that having a working business is wrong. What we would caution toward is when that overshadows your walk with Christ, your relationship with your spouse, and your love for your children. So we just want to make sure that that thing falls into the right place. But I think that working moms, can also get those priorities out of order too.
Yeah.
So it's a caution for us all.
It's a sin. It's a sin struggle that as women, we're constantly trying to feel important and somebody to say thank you. I mean, really, isn't that what we just want in life? Somebody to say thank you.
Yeah.
And so I think, honestly, it's interesting. The older my kids get and the more they interact with their friends, you hear other kids talk about, I don't ever see my parents. My mom's never home. And it's so sad to think that this precious baby that, desires so much to have a relationship with a parent is not there. But I think you could also have parents that are home and still don't spend time with their kids. So,
yeah.
Location is neither here nor there. It's the intention of your heart.
Yes, that's exactly right. So in case that has ever been the case for you where you feel guilt about working outside of your home, please let that go. Mm-hmm. Please let that go. We do not find that in scripture. It is not descriptive of that there is this ideal woman and she's at home and things like that. So for some of us, if you can be at home and that works for your family's finances and you can make that work, amazing. If you feel called to work outside of your home and that also blesses your family financially, amazing. Mm-hmm. Just ask the Lord what he has for you and your family and just walk faithfully in that.
Yeah, for sure.
But here's what I want you to see two things from Lydia's story. Number one, I want you to see that your house needs you. They need you to show up faithfully and keep pressing into God. And when he shows you more, that you joyfully receive it and share it with your family. I think Lydia, we see her continuing to show up. And then when she gets a new revelation about God and understands him deeper, she doesn't keep that for herself. She goes home and shares it with her home. And I think that as moms, that's definitely an area where we could probably do better of it's just sharing genuinely out of the overflow of what God is doing in us. Mm-hmm. And so when we hear a cool story or, we know of someone we need to be praying for, and then we hear how God answers that prayer. Like, are we sharing those things with our children? Are we inviting them into the big story of God? Because our house needs us. They need us to be living out our faith in front of them and bringing them along with us.
Well, and I think sometimes as moms, we don't tell our kids because we're like, they're not going to be interested.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Or when you do tell them, they act like they don't care.
Uh-huh.
But you never know what's sticking in their little minds and hearts. So just do it. Just tell them.
Yeah, you just absolutely never know. Like I get to work with this church planting organization. And so sometimes I'll just text the family group chat. I'm like, guys, you will not believe this. Let me tell you what happened at one of our churches today. And sometimes like they don't respond.
Right.
But doesn't matter because I am still faithfully doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
Sometimes if I'm working through something, I get to share it with them. The girls came with me recently I taught at a mother-daughter retreat, and they hear me tell stories about things God has done in my life, and we'll go back to the room and they're like, why have you never told us that?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, dang.
Yep.
I guess I haven't been faithful to share that part. And that's a tricky line to walk because you're trying to figure out,
Yes.
when do I share these parts of my story with my kids? But just as you get the opportunity, like letting them hear how God's worked in your life and the miracles that he has done in you, they need to hear you tell the story.
Good.
The second thing that I would say is not only does your house need you, but people need your house. I think one of the cool things about having children is being able to be a safe space, not only for your children, but for other children. And that you would open up the doors. I think for somebody like me who really likes to have her house a certain way, hospitality can be challenging for me because I really would prefer that people only come over when the house looks a certain way. But what I've had to learn, especially like as the kids have gotten older and then, when they had their preschool friends running through the house and the front door is as open as the back door as they're going from one to the other and they're tracking a grass, they don't give a rip. If there are dishes on the counter, if there's laundry on the dining room table, like they could care less.
Yep.
The things that are priorities to us of like how your home should be to have people over, they could care less about. What they want to know is, am I safe here?
Do you have a snack?
Do you have snacks and drinks? Will you be nice to me?
Yep.
Like those are the things they care about. My son's band practices out of our garage, which honestly is not my favorite thing. Okay. It's very loud. And typically though, what happens is, he'll say, hey, they're coming over at 1. And I'm like, okay, so you need me to order pizza, or Jeremy will go to Costco because it's cheaper.
Yes.
But we just go ahead and we put pizza out for those kids. And I walk out to the garage and I take them bottles of water. But what that has done is it has opened up opportunities for us to share Christ with those kiddos because we just open the doors.
Right.
And y'all, they're in the garage. And the garage is a hot mess.
It's not as messy as my garage. You actually have a pretty nice garage.
No.
Jeremy's got like these like buckets and they're all labeled and they're like in these
Jeremy
cool
didn't
little
do that.
like,
I did that.
Okay, Kate. Entrepreneur Kate has got these buckets and they're labeled. It's awesome.
But, it's just, but to be fair, like I walk out there and I'm like, there's all these dead leaves in here that need to be blown out. This is stuff that needs to be taken to the donation. That's what I'm looking at when I look out there. They don't care. They just want a place where they can be safe and they can be together. I think about, it was right before me when I was in college that something called Breakaway Ministry started. And it started out of an apartment where kids were just meeting together and playing worship music and talking about God. And it was because someone had enough hospitality to just open the door so that people could meet. And then this huge movement where now at A&M, thousands of kids meet weekly and worship God because somebody was faithful to open the door. And so your house needs you and people need your house, whatever that looks like for you. If you could just practice hospitality like Lydia did, because she was faithful, this church starts out of her house. And not just any church. You guys, this is the one letter that Paul writes. When he writes Philippians to the church in Philippi, it is a love note. It is full of gratitude and thankfulness. He just is just overflowing in love with them for what God has done among them. And so that can be what happens out of your house. You never know what kind of church, quote unquote, you are planting just by being faithful to open the doors. And so I want to encourage you with Lydia's story today. And I don't know what you resonate with the most. If you resonate with faithfully showing up, if you resonate with, potentially here's another mom that would have been the first in her family to believe in Jesus, just like with Rahab, to be the first in her family to believe in God, that you get to change a generation, and that in whatever God has put your hand to, whether at home or in your business, that in your faithfulness, there is no telling what he can do with just your willingness to just offer him your fishes and loaves and watch him multiply it.
Well, and we know some of our Gather Mamas that have started their own businesses and are running their own businesses. I just think about how much this episode's going to bless them. I don't know if they've ever connected the dots that like Lydia was a business owner and an entrepreneur, and they're doing the same thing in their life right now. I think that's so awesome.
Absolutely. Okay, moms, we're crazy about you. Glad you're here for another episode, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.